Hello, welcome to another book report. It's been a little while. Um, Kind of got out of the habit, although I've been reading a lot. I got a lot of books on my stack over here. So I should be dropping quite a few videos here. Anyway, an okay book. Definitely not for everybody. Um, but I did read the whole thing, so that's something. The Long Game: How to Be a Long-Term Thinker in a Short-Term World by Dorie Clark. Um, I enjoyed. It was enjoyable writing, good writing, um, and I liked Dorie Clark. It's very autobiographical, a lot about her experiences. Not quite what I was expecting. It's very much about career, long-term thinking, but very focused on career development, personal development, career development, particularly for more entrepreneurial or um, small business type, but a lot of it could apply to other stuff. Um, and like I said, the ideas, it was well written enough, and it was interesting enough to me to kind of go through it and actually finish the book. So, um, yeah, uh, I do have some notes at the beginning, but it mainly boiled down to, oh boy, that's kind of immature, or oh boy, that's kind of weird. Although, well, one of them was somebody she was anyway. Like I said, it's pretty autobiographical, and so I think a lot of that, as I finish the book, it's kind of like, okay, she's showing her own growth process and becoming more mature over time as well. So I'll just skip those parts. Okay, so here we have. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I like this concept of waves, and that again, she's very career oriented. So follow the career waves, so that you should be doing different, um, working on different skill sets and different abilities at different times in waves, either big, short, or small waves. And the basic different types of waves that she identifies are the learning wave, the creating wave, the connecting wave, and then the reaping wave. Um, and I just liked that idea of that you need to be well rounded. You can't just specialize in one tiny little thing and think that you're going to be successful, or at least significantly successful. Let's see. Let's see. No matter how good you are, you can't win any game by doing the same thing all the time. You could be amazing at shooting three-pointers in basketball, but sometimes you have to play defense or sink a free throw. We all have strengths, but too many of us overplay them and then get bitter when we don't get the results we want or expect. Playing the long game means understanding where you are in the game and what skill is necessary to deploy at what point. When you learn to think in waves, you'll choose your tool to suit the moment and ensure that you don't stop and don't stagnate. That's how you win. Um, and she's when she does use a lot of these terms like win and stuff. It's not like competitive. It just means meeting your own goals. Um, I do generally. Some of her language is kind of like, yeah, it's not the word I would use, but I do like her attitude in general. She's very win-win, all that kind of stuff. Let's see, 130. Oh, right, the spanning paragraph here. So uh, I also really liked her thoughts and writing on networking, which is, for me, has always kind of been a dirty word. But let me just read this. Let's see. Talking about networking, what stresses people out isn't networking per se, it's the idea of using people. In actuality, there are three types of networking: short term, long term, and infinite horizon. It's short term transactional networking that gives the whole enterprise a bad name. And I'm going to suggest that we avoid it whenever humanly possible, which I think is pretty much always. Anyway, true networking isn't about trying to get something as fast as you can. that's a caricature of bad networking. Yet people hold it up as an excuse for not engaging. You know, and part of it is I can be pretty outgoing sometimes, but in general, I'm slightly introverted. So some of it's just my personality. But I always did think of networking as dirty, and her ideas and writing on networking, I really appreciated and enjoyed, in the sense that it kind of, it's about broadening your social network over longer time horizons, not just getting something from the people in the room that that event that you're at. So it's more of a long-term process, and that made it much more appealing and uh, much more understandable, or much more sympathetic. Made me much more sympathetic to the idea of networking, and that I was viewing short-term transactional networking as networking, and that's not really it. It's more about developing your social network over a period of years and decades, right? Anyway, end of section. Oh, yeah. So, basically, I don't really need to read this, but basically, success, or really achieving anything of worth, does involve taking the long view and being very patient, right? And understanding the real efforts that are required to achieve the goal or goals, and not getting discouraged, right? So learning from other people who've gone through or achieved the goals you want to achieve, having realistic expectations of how difficult those goals are to achieve, and not giving up after years and years of not seeing many results, because it does. Most things take time, particularly like in my case, with investing, for sure. You tend to not see results, or even feel like you're going backwards at first, but then over a period of years and decades, you see that things that look like a mistake at the time, 10 years later, can look like a brilliant buy, or well, it still might be a slight mistake, but like time, with investing, time is your best ally. And can fix even bad mistakes, which you should be learning from. Anyway, we have to be willing to be patient. Yes. So we can train ourselves to be long-term thinkers using the following strategies. Get started in a small way. Climbing a mountain starts with the first step. So don't look at the mountain, just focus on the next step. Understand what it really takes to accomplish your goals. What I was talking about, like some people have unrealistic expectations as to how much effort it takes to achieve a certain goal, and then give up too early. And then I really like this one. Setting constraints on the time you spend at work will paradoxically make you more efficient. You'll be forced to devise better systems and processes to manage your workflow. I really like that idea, that constraints can be really empowering and helpful in terms of focus and efficiency. And then I like how she wrote this. If you plan with a longer horizon than everyone else, and you're willing to endure the ups and downs along the way, you'll be able to accomplish far more than others, or even you, imagined. Yeah. And, my career has been very unplanned. So I don't have personal experience with that in terms of my career, but certainly in terms of as an investor, I have experience with that, and other pursuits, sports, skiing, snowboarding. Anyway, enjoyable book, not for everyone, But if you're interested in some valuable tips and perspectives on achieving goals, personally speaking, I found it well written and interesting. So, but it's not, I thought it was more geopolitical or economic and thinking in terms of centuries and millennia. But she's talking much more personal goals and years and decades, right? So a single lifetime. I was thinking like multiple lifetimes, geopolitical, economic kind of long game when I picked it up. But I'm glad I did pick it up. It was interesting. Anyway, until the next book report, happy reading.